Hi gardeners! Today we are planting some roses and I'm going to show you how I make them gopher proof because the gophers on our property really like to eat our roses. I'm also going to share a few tips and tricks to keep the gophers at bay on your own property. Now, if you have gophers, there are going to be some obvious signs like these cracks in your soil where you could tell that they've dug a tunnel underneath the soil. That is a telltale sign that you have gophers. You may also notice dirt mounds like this. This one's been rained on a little bit. The fresher mounds are much more fluffy, and I'll show you what that looks like here. This is a better example. And then I have an even better one coming up here. So this is a freshly mounded gopher mound, and usually they make these mounds when they're coming up to eat or when they're trying to get rid of feces. So some signs that a gopher has eaten one of your plants or roses would be that the plant just suddenly starts wilting or dying off. If you just tug at the base of that plant, it should, if a gopher has eaten it, it will come up fairly easily. This is one that a gopher ate, and you can see it looked like it just sawed right through these roots. And this was a climbing rose that I've had for many years. So when I planted this, I didn't know anything about gopher proofing my garden yet. So first things first, if you notice that one of your rose plants is dying off, or you pull it up and it's got gopher damage on it, you can repot it and baby it and hope that it reroots, or you can take cuttings from it and try to propagate it that way. This was a climbing rose. I had two of them, one on each side of my porch, so I really need two of them to balance out the climbing rose on the balcony of our porch. So I ended up taking cuttings from it, and I did put it in some seed starting mix, and they have rooted and leafed out. So I'm so thankful because it was a really beautiful heirloom rose. So when you're planting your roses, you can use, not tomato cages, but gopher cages or gopher baskets, or you could line the hole with hardware cloth at least 12 inches down, but really I'd say at least 18, just to be on the safe side. We're going to add some fertilizer, some rose tone fertilizer into this hole to help the rose kind of take off. And then these are the gopher baskets that we're using. They're just like a wire sack, and I like to get mine at least 2 sizes bigger than the potted plant. I think this is a 1 gallon pot, so I went ahead and ordered 3 gallon pots, wire pots, and I will make sure to link these down below. So what we do is we just roll the sack down, and then we're going to place the rose right into the middle of it, and then we're going to backfill it with some soil so that the roots, the larger roots, have enough room to grow within that sack, and then the smaller roots will grow through the mesh. Another thing you could do is pick a rose that's a vigorous growing rose, because it may be able to survive some gopher chomping. This is an iceberg rose, and they do really well in our area. They do really well anywhere, and they're super disease resistant. So we're going to plant this in my cottage garden, and now we're just backfilling the sack because, like I said earlier, we got a larger size than we needed, and I just thought this would be a good idea so that the plant can grow bigger roots, because this mesh, it has very small holes, as you can see. So I just wanted to make sure that it could get really well established before it needed to grow those tiny roots through the mesh. And you can see here we're also going to kind of sack the whole root ball, and we've got some of that wire mesh over the top of the plant as well, just in case we've got some smart gophers and they dig up a little bit higher. We don't want them getting in there. Now you can see in this bed that there's a gopher tunnel right there. So I'm also going to share with you guys some plants that can help deter gophers. Some of them are a tad invasive, like mint. Mint is a really great, peppermint specifically, is a really great gopher deterrent, and I have been known to plant mint around my roses like here. These are roses that I planted without a cage. So I went ahead and planted some mint all the way around, and you could prune this mint back very hard and it'll come back. They also don't like daffodils, delphiniums, or foxglove. All three of these are poisonous to people and animals, so they will not munch on those. So you could plant those around your roses as well. Really, anything that has a very strong scent, they're not going to like. So those are all really good companion plants to have near your roses. A lot of herbs and things like that do really well around roses. And I think catmint, anything in the mint family would do well, but peppermint is obviously the best one. Another great gopher deterrent is cats. Cat urine, cat feces. If you feel like spreading that around your garden, that also deters gophers, but they also will hunt gophers. But you can't just have any cat for a gopher hunter on your property. Domesticated cats, cats that have grown up domestically, usually are still good gopher hunters, but they don't know how to survive outside. So something that we do is we always adopt, well, not always because we haven't adopted that many cats in our lifetime, but we adopt cats that were once feral cats or feral kittens, and they might have been on the kill list at your shelter, or they just weren't getting adopted because they were a little bit more wild. So those are the cats that we adopt. They know how to survive outside. Their mamas raised them outside. And we just let them in at night, and actually we let them in whenever they want to come inside, but they do very well outside. They know how to get away from predators. But of course, this isn't the most humane way to control gophers, so it's totally up to you. Also, we have this gopher hawk for when the gophers are digging up under the house or getting too close to the house. And this, you just use this little poker to poke near one of the mounds to find where the tunnel comes in. In most cases, you could see where there's dying grass and it's kind of in a line where their tunnel is. So you poke at those areas, and when the poker kind of falls through, then you know there's a tunnel, and then you set this trap, and it has like a little trigger. Now, it's really hard to use a gopher hawk when you have sandy loam soil like us because the soil tends to collapse. So before you set one up, after you found the tunnel, you're going to want to dampen the area so that the sand doesn't just fall back through into the tunnel and block the trap. This is also a much safer trap than other ones that you see on the market, especially if you have animals, because they can't get their paw into the trap if they dig around there. I don't really like to use this very often. We only use it in areas where the gophers are causing a really bad problem. Most of the time the cats control the gophers for the most part. Another thing I'd like to mention about the cats is they have to be your pets also. Ours are definitely our pets. They roam as much as they want. They come in as much as they want. But you got to keep them really healthy if they're going to be indoor-outdoor cats. They need to be dewormed every 3 months. They need to be up to date on their vaccinations. They got to go to the vet once or twice a year just to check for their general health because they are outside. And you definitely have to keep up with flea and tick medication because they do wander. And another thing is, if you're going to have indoor-outdoor cats, and you have neighbors. We don't really have neighbors. The one neighbor that we have that borders our property loves our cats. But if you have neighbors near you, you want to make sure you talk to your neighbors first because they will likely wander onto your neighbor's property. If you live in the city or in a neighborhood, it's probably not a good idea to have an indoor-outdoor cat because they may poo and pee in your neighbor's yard. Overall, though, our cats have been amazing on our property. They kill snakes and poisonous snakes all the time, and they're constantly killing any kind of mice, voles, or gophers. So they're really, really great hunters. But if you're an animal lover and you don't want to use those methods for gopher control, definitely try the wire baskets to keep them out of your garden. You could even dig a trench around your garden and use hardware cloth to kind of create a barrier for the gophers. So I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I hope it saves you from losing some roses. Here's Harley, one of our best Mauser. We've had him for over 10 years, and he was one of the cats that was on the kill list. Nobody was adopting him, and he was feral at the time, and he was just the sweetest thing as soon as we brought him home. So it just goes to show that you can really domesticate and tame feral cats, and they really are the best Mausers. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know in the comments what methods you use to control gophers on your own property. And also, if there's a better method than any of the ones that we've shared, we'd love to hear about them. We'll see you guys next time.